From Mencari Newsroom at redmencari.com.
Good morning, I'm Mika Santos with your Thursday rundown. Our top story. Labour celebrates historic parliamentary majority as economic data shows inflation within target range. The coalition reunite with a dramatic shadow minister shakeup. A major gas project gets the green light despite environmental concern, and calls grow louder for sanction against Israel officials. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese today celebrated his calling Labour's strongest position in decades, within the party now holding 124 seats, the largest ALP caucus in federal parliamentary history. Speaking in Brisbane, Albanese highlighted significant economic progress.
Today we learned that headline inflation at 2.4, underlying inflation at 2.8, means that both headline and underlying inflation are within the Reserve Bank's target band once again. Headline inflation in the lower half of the Reserve Bank's target band. That is very welcome and encouraging news. It shows that the progress that we've made together as Australians on inflation has been substantial and it has been sustained.
The Prime Minister also announced $36 million in new agriculture support for drought and flood-affected farmers, signaling the government focus on regional Australia despite losing ground in some rural seats. With inflation now in target range for 9 consecutive months, Treasurer Jim Chalmers says Australia is better positioned than most countries to handle global economic uncertainty.
This is the 9th consecutive month where headline inflation's been in the target band, and the 5th consecutive month that underlying inflation has been in the target band. It's actually the longest period where both measures of inflation have been in the target range since this monthly data started being collected in 2018. So what we've managed to achieve as Australians is an economy where inflation's come down substantially, real wages are growing again, unemployment is low, we've got the debt down, our economy is growing, and we've seen interest rates cut twice in the space of 3 months. This progress that we're making together on inflation is part of the reason that the Reserve Bank has had the confidence to cut interest rates twice in 3 months, and the market is expecting more interest rate cuts to come.
The economic news provide a strong platform for a Labour as it begins its second term with expanded mandate. After a bitter public split, the National Liberal Coalition is officially back together, but not without controversy over today's shadow minister appointments. Susan Ley new team sees some surprising moves. Former finance spokesperson Jane Humes has been completely dropped from the front bench, while newcomers like Ted O'Brien take on the crucial Treasury portfolio.
I promised my leadership would be done differently, and it will be. I've communicated with every single member of my party room about this shadow ministry, those who are in the shadow ministry and those who are not. Now that style might be unconventional, but it's important because I always said that I would harness the talents of my party room. Everyone has a role to play, even if they're not formally in this lineup. And as I said, I've communicated with every member of my party room, all 54, because this is a team that draws on the deep well of the Australian experience.
But the reunion isn't without ongoing tension. Former National Party leaders Barnaby Joyce and Michael McCormack have both been relegated to the backbench, with Joyce bluntly dismissing claims of generational change.
Well, look, I'm going to be honest because you talked about honesty with Jane Hume, so I'm going to move on. It's not generational change. That's ridiculous. It's personality and politics. If you look at it, I know David's 48, fair enough. Kevin's 61. I'm 58, so he's older than me. Bridget, 55, well, same area. Darren, just slightly younger than me at 57. Susan and Ross at 55. It's not generational changes. So we've got to be straight. And the great thing about being on the backbench is trying to cut through this. It is a decision based on policy and personalities, and that's okay. Yeah, that is absolutely, Bridget's right, that is the prerogative of the leader. I think we've got to be careful. I look at who Mr Littleprad's picked. I would say all of them in the cabinet voted for him in the leadership spill, and the vast majority of the others. So if you don't link both sides up, it's hard to bring unity back into the party structure. Not for 1 second. I said it, I'm not on your show, but I think on Sky. I never presumed I was going to get picked. In fact, I read it in the paper about a week ago with exactly the same narrations as what David said to me over the phone. So it's been out there. So this is no surprise.
Joyce also signaled his continued pushing for the coalition to abandon its net zero emission target, setting up potential future conflicts within the unified coalition. National Party leader David Littleproud defended his appointments as necessary for the party's futures, but acknowledged the challenge of maintaining unity. In a decision that will fuel debate about Australia's energy future, Environmental Minister Murray Watts has granted provisional approval for the North West Shelf gas project extension until 2070. Woodside Energy welcomed the decision, which secured thousands of jobs and continues a project that delivered $40 billion royalties since 1984. The approval comes with strict environmental conditions, include significant air emission reduction and cultural heritage protection for the Murujuga rock art site. Former Labour Minister Ed Husic defended the decision.
Well, I think we've been pretty strong on climate change, taking seriously the response, not being ideological, practical in the way that we respond to climate change. I dare say we probably had one of the strongest responses to climate change in terms of the range of different things we did through our first term. So we do take it seriously. What we also take seriously is the way in which the law operates. Decisions like this have to be made using the EPBC Act. It's very strict criteria. We relied on the science in making a provisional decision, also subject to strict conditions, for example, the impact of air emissions through the onshore Karratha gas plant. We've put a position forward. We'll wait for response before a final decision is made. It's been about, off the top of my head, 6 years in the making, so it has gone through a lengthy decision-making process. So I'd make the case that we've been strong in responding to climate change, and we've also been strong in using the law and a particular act in making this decision, relying on science.
Environmental groups are expected to challenge the decision, arguing it undermines Australia's climate commitment. The project will continue supplying domestic gas and LNG export for the next 45 years. Pressure is mounting on the Albanese government to join international allies in imposing sanctions on Israel officials over the Gaza conflict. Backbench Labour MP Ed Husic is leading the call for targeting sanctions, pointing to the similar moves by the UK, Canada and France.
I think if you look at what's happened in the last week, we've had reliable friends of ours on the international stage in the UK, Canada and France signal their strong opposition to what's occurring in Gaza, like many across the world, concerned about the impact on innocent civilians in Gaza, and flagging stronger action. Obviously, in the sort of coded words of diplomatic speak, you're careful about how or what you're flagging you'll likely do, but it's clear that the suggestion is there that there will be some form of stronger action, which may include sanctions, and it really is the time for us to think about what that might look like and do that work clearly behind the scenes. I flagged recently that they would be, I think it would be wise to have targeted sanctions, looking at individuals who have been directing the operations in Gaza and clearly ignoring, violating international humanitarian law.
But Prime Minister Albanese remain resistant, questioning what specific sanction creating are proposing.
Well, what are the sanctions you're suggesting? I'm not sure.
Exactly. That's the point. You're not sure.
The debate highlights growing division within Labour rank over Australia's Middle East policy, with Hussek's intervention marking a significant challenge to the government position. That's your Thursday rundown. Labour rides height on economic wins while the coalition rebuilds. A major gas project gets the green light amid climate concern, and Middle East policy tension continue to simmer. I'm Miko Santos. See you tomorrow.
Subscribe to Mencari for news with authentic Gen X perspective, cutting through the noise with zero fluff. Available now across all podcast platforms. News without the noise, perspective without the panic.